Um,
Well, welcome everyone. We haven't done a video for a while, so it's good to be back here. It's going to be one of the last ones we'll do before we take a break for summer down here in Australia. I'm Ali Uren. I'm the founder of Kickstart and the Circular Workplace, where we are working with ambitious brands to take skills and wisdom and lessons learned and mistakes made and actually convert it back into something useful in our organisations and not let that IP go to waste and do something, as I said, constructive with it while creating continuous learning as well too. So I'm going to be joining you today, and we're going to throw over to Albert Oktovianus, who's going to do an intro, and then we'll set up and give a bit of an explanation about what we're doing here, and then we'll get into it. So Albert, tell us a bit about your role and why you do the work you do.
yeah, thank you, Ali, and it's very nice to do this again for our audience, right? So my name is Albert Oktovianus. You can call me Albert or Okto. I come from Indonesia, Jakarta, Indonesia. Currently, I'm the capability leads in the global advisory of Trada, and we do the HR technology implementations and then HR consultings and also change management and business performance. So uh, currently, I'm in a project, quite a big project also in Indonesia around change management and implementations. So that's a bit about me.
Yeah. And look, you and I have been talking a lot to different relevant topics, for the last couple
Yeah,
of years. And just to give some background to people that might not have seen the latest video, and I'll put the link in the post when we post on LinkedIn and on YouTube as well, that we've been talking about changing perspective around how we see gaps and threats and risk and adversity. Yeah. And
yeah,
so we talked before in the video just prior to this one today around why it's just no longer the responsibility of our HR departments, our compliance teams, our health and safety and environment teams as well. Why it is everyone's responsibility, leaders and teams together, to be able to have this skill and capability to respond to those areas in role and project delivery. So we wanted to spend some time today talking about a particular approach that Kickstart's used in its circular workplace methodology called the Innovation Capability Review. And I know that there were some questions that you had around it. And I said, well, look, let
yeah.
me put myself in the hot seat. Yeah. Because let's dive into it. Let's have a structured but free flowing conversation around it. let's put some heat on me and let's talk about what it is and why it exists, and how it's shaping the way in which teams and organisations are responding to really a very underdeveloped area of capability and capacity. So you're going to really ask the questions today, and I'm going to do, and I'm going to pray that I can answer them. And I think I can, but I hope I can. Let's get into it. So it's over to you. Let's start.
Yeah, okay. Thank you so much for this opportunity, Ali, right? Like you said, to put you in the hot seat. So yeah, I'm really interested like in our I think to continuation, right, our conversation because we all been talking also about building capabilities, not only a competency but also capabilities, right? And
Yes.
also the team around risk managing or managing risk around it, right?
Mm.
Uh, but related to your current, I would say your current innovation, right, around this circular workplace. And I don't want to reveal the name yet until later, but I just want to start it with this. So, why do you think like building capability, right, is a little bit of being, maybe I say separate or ingenious from the risk, and it's even more critical now for leaders and team because, like you said, why not just leave it to the legal and compliance and then the safety department or
Yeah.
the HR
Yeah.
department? So I hope
That's,
you can.
yeah, great question. So why do we need to be building capability and capacity in this space for leaders and teams, not leave it to those departments that we tend to associate with that work? Well, the reality is, right, that if you look at business nowadays and just our roles and our projects,
mm,
They are evolving, right? We are not facing the same gaps and needs and threats and risk that we once did, probably even 6 months ago. Yeah, particularly with the rise of
mm.
AI and tech, just for example. So for me, we're not what we're facing and what we need teams to be able to do doesn't necessarily fall under compliance. It doesn't fall within that work or health, safety, and environment team. It's not even an HR matter. It's actually
Mm.
individual to the role and the project, right?
Okay.
And therefore, when their role and project specific gaps and threats and risk, the people that are delivering and have the responsibility for that need to be able to do that work. So what we're finding, just simply put, is that the areas of attention
Okay.
fall to the teams and the leaders, right? And so they're
Okay.
project based, they're role based. Yeah. So it's not for HR to
Mm,
solve an issue with the supplier. Yeah.
mm,
It's not work safety and environment issue to face, to deal with the capability gap around it, maybe client care or marketing or brand or,
mm.
how the team is working or how they're responding to a specific problem in the project. That is the team and the leader's job to do, right? So I think we've got to get out. We've got to challenge that mindset of how we traditionally see
Mm,
what risk is in a modern context. Yeah.
mm.
And so
Okay.
if it's the responsibility every day for someone to do that,
Mm.
then I have to be able to do it because I can't handball it to anyone else. Yeah. And as
Okay.
I've always said, the risk is not so easy. It's more complex now, right? It's
Yeah.
not always so obvious to begin with.
Yeah.
And so if we don't build this within our team, then
Mm.
we exponentially increase the cost, the loss,
Okay.
risk, yeah, to not
Yeah.
just the business, yeah, financially or reputationally, but to the people, to their own well-being, to how they show up in the world, to their ability to do the role, to move from one role maybe to the next. So it's as much about a moral obligation as it is a financial and business one.
Okay. Okay. So that's quite an eye-opening. I really like you touch about the costs and everything and the impact of the business, right? We're
Yeah,
going to go there a bit later, right? But
sure.
so I just want to summarize a bit. So I think you in your current innovation now or current framework from Kickstart and from
Mm,
you is actually you still value the individual's capabilities, right? But
mm,
you are going to how you say integrate all of these individual capabilities that related to all the business as a whole.
yeah,
So it comes, like you said, it's not only in the legal or the HR, even the HR
no,
department, because the project will touch in every of the functions in the organizations, right?
correct,
Okay,
correct.
nice. Okay,
Correct. So it's
got it.
holistic,
Yeah.
yeah. And okay, we're not going to reveal the name of the resource or the process
Yeah,
but we
yeah.
are in a minute. But no, so
Mm.
it's looking at it holistically,
Okay,
right? So
okay.
that's the beauty of this is that when we're thinking about and we're looking at the role of or the actual project, we're looking at all, like you said, the different elements that are attached to it. Yeah.
Mm,
So
mm,
it
mm.
can be things like brand, communications, financial,
Yes,
stakeholder relationships. Yeah.
yes, yes.
Even things like where like again, it depends on what the project deliverables are, but even where people are located, how they're communicating, yeah, how the roles are designed, for example, yeah, the skill
Uh,
sets in those roles, yeah. So to make sure that we're not missing bits, you're right. So we look holistically. So we're
yeah.
not looking at the usual suspects, and I think that's one of the benefits of it as well too.
Okay, so I might have a little of spoilers for the name of your
Yeah,
new,
yeah,
right?
sure, do it.
But I want you to be the one that spell it out for us
Yeah,
because I'm just wondering that is it the previous explanation that you mentioned you're telling us is it how your framework came to life,
yeah,
right? And then you created it
yeah,
and then because I know that you are creating like a lane holistically from the ones that start the triggers, the who's the stakeholders are doing it right in
Mhm,
holistically, and also the
mhm.
impact, and again how to measure and review the impact.
Yeah.
Okay, I give a little bit spoiler, but maybe you can tell us more.
So,
And
yeah,
even the
sure.
name,
So
right?
okay, so there's a few questions in there. We'll break them down, shall we? So do you want me to start with how this actually came about?
Yeah, sure. Good to know the origin.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'll have to mention the name. Let's reveal the name. All right. So
Okay.
when we refer to the ICR, we're talking about the Innovation Capability Review, right? So
There it
that
is.
is the
There it
name
is.
of the actual resource, the plan, the piece that we create. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it came about because, well, I did a study tour, but I already had started to work on it. But I did a study tour overseas, and there was a lot of talk about innovation and themes and trends and what was happening in the organization and how technology would impact and all the other factors that we need to consider. And so I'm
Mm,
sitting here after paying a lot of money and I'm thinking, there's actually nothing that I'm aware of in the
mm,
market that actually allows leaders and teams to self-assess and identify themselves how ready they are to be ingenious. Yeah. To be, so we talk about innovation, be innovative, be creative. Oh, think critically, create these transformations in business, but
mm,
nothing that would allow people to really assess, their own capacity and capability to deliver on that expectation. And as part of that, to identify any of those gaps and threats and risks that would act as roadblocks to being able to deliver on it, right? Like, why are we doing it when we're in the middle of it, right? Like that's madness, right? When we're in the program, oh, now we've hit a snag, or now that's an issue, or now we've created, some financial loss, or now we've had a relationship go not in the right direction, and now the supplier's left us, or the vendor, or whatever the case may be. Rather than being proactive and being able to think ahead of the time, to minimize that crisis happening. And so there was really nothing out there, right? There was nothing
mm.
that was happening from a university or a tertiary perspective. There was nothing from an adult learning perspective. And so, like any entrepreneur, when you don't find it, you create it, right? You see that the gap,
Awesome.
it's the white
Awesome.
space, Albert, that I refer to a lot. And that is why I created it. That is the reason why it became a really credible, but critical part of the circular workplace.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. So I'm glad that the name is out, right?
Yes, the name's out there.
Oh,
Innovation
yeah.
Capability Review. Yeah, that's it.
Innovation
That's the one.
Capability Reviews, or
Yeah.
ICR, right?
Yeah.
Liking that name. And yeah, so okay, you mentioned why it comes to life. I mean, like it's just I'm sure it's not just like I know it's a spark of the moments, right? Being you as the with your unique thinking, say
Yeah.
basically, and you become entrepreneur, and then you saw there's a need that come from your experience, years of experience, right? And
Yeah.
dealings also with organizations.
Yes.
But maybe just for the sake of clarity, especially like the pragmatism in me as a part engineer, part
Yeah.
HR.
Yeah.
Right? I just
Yeah. Yes.
I just want to know that maybe there's a specific or like a sample of
Yeah.
certain
Sure.
industry and organization that you can share with us, right?
Yeah.
Where you are going to implement this or already implement this, right?
Yes.
In the ICR, and
Yeah.
then yeah, maybe you can tell us a bit about it and
Oh,
how it works
yeah. Yeah.
actually.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I will. So let me give you a case study, and then we can
Yeah,
break down high level about how it works and the key elements
sure,
to that.
sure.
Yeah. So, pardon me. So, Coca-Cola Euro Partners, as they're now known,
Okay.
employed Kickstart
Yeah.
to work to design, implement, and facilitate their redundancy or their workforce transition and transformation program in Australia when they were closing their manufacturing operations. Okay,
Nice.
so
Yeah.
that was in
Yeah.
Adelaide. And so they wanted to have a more entrepreneurial approach to creating opportunities with their people rather
Mm,
than career development. Yeah.
mm,
So Kickstart, based on outcomes that it achieved, also was referred into to Coca-Cola Euro Pacific Partners to create a personalised experience that would allow their leadership team initially, that then became also their production team, to own and design their own transition once the factory manufacturing operations and operational side was over. So we used the innovation capability review both at a team level but an individual level as well. So that's what I want to be mindful of, that because it's about rolling project, it has a team aspect, an organisational aspect to it, but it also has an individual aspect. Yeah. And so we used it, and Kickstart worked with leaders and with individuals to co-design, these plans that team members would use to identify a couple of things. And I want to just come back to my notes so I don't miss anything here. So they used it to identify roadblocks and challenges. So what did they need to be aware of? What could come up in the next, X amount of months that they were going to be still working, knowing that they were going to be made redundant, that they had to plan for. So they can be things like anything that might get in the way to deliver on the role, any capability gaps that they needed to fill, particularly regarding new career and what that had to look like in order for them to fulfill it. They then also looked at any gaps, because anyone who's been through redundancy or unemployment knows the stress that can come with that. So there's a well-being element and risk attached to it that needed to be considered. So each individual had a plan around their well-being, even around their financial well-being as well too. So they use this innovation capability review to understand and identify what that looked like for them, and then to actually plan for that and have conversations with not just us, but their leaders and their managers to help facilitate what was required around them. So that plan, as they moved through not only the experience of working with us, but through the time frame of redundancy, the beauty of that was that it evolved with them too. Yeah. So it evolved with, as their learnings and their plans, it evolved with the commercial needs of the business. And so that's one thing I really want to say around this, and we can't cover everything in our conversation today.
Yeah.
But it's a living, breathing document that the people own. Yeah.
Okay.
And so, that allowed them to really understand the gaps and the threats and the risk to them, both from an individual perspective, from a career perspective, but also what they needed to keep delivering, on the projects that they were part of, because the company still had very, as you would expect, being an international brand, still had very clear commercial deliverables that needed to be met. Right?
Okay. So, that's very fascinating, right? Because when you mentioned the brand of your previous work, I think like hopefully, like not hopefully, I think 90% of people globally knows about the brand. And so, but saying that, so I guess when you mention also the application of this ICR, right?
Yeah.
I think it's not only certain industry, but it's actually across industry, right? And then
100%.
not also certain functions that going into certain projects, but like you said, it touch all about the functions in across the industries, across the organizations, right?
Yeah.
So that's why like any organizations that have challenges, not challenges, have concerns, even concerns about the capabilities, everything else, and regardless of the project, I think this is the right way to have the IPR, right?
I think you make a very good point to that.
Yeah.
So if we look, let's just take Coca-Cola, for example. There are a number of different departments and teams that sat and benefited from using this, yeah?
Yes.
So we had, just in the leadership team alone, you had operations.
Yeah.
You had production managers and leaders.
Yeah.
You then had, I'll call it what you call it in Indonesia, the health, safety and environment team as well too.
HSE,
so, you had HR also, because all of these functions were no longer. So just before we even get to the production side, that was what we had, certainly within that. So I think it's important to note that this is not team specific. It's not function specific.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it too, right?
Yes.
Is that it will work across and connect those different departments in terms of the collaborative approach to it, which is really quite unique as well.
Yeah.
So one of the things, just before we sort of move on from that, is that became a very important document for people to own. and for them to evolve and design. And what we found is that it started to change the relationships that the team were having with their leaders, right? Because it brought new insights to the fore. And so they could have different discussions, yeah? They could have conversations that they weren't having before. And it also took the fear out of talking about these factors because it actually had proper framework and purpose behind it, so it could land somewhere.
Yes.
And I think that's a really critical element that I have seen, because I've been doing this for a number of years, is that you start to see that leaders and teams facilitate the outcome that comes through that data, comes through those insights and ideas in that plan, rather than avoid it.
Yeah.
And that's critical. That's the differentiator, Albert.
Nice. Okay. Wow. Okay. So I see that I think at some point, right? Because I also familiar with your previous resources, right? Which is framework that I think it's called Circular Workplace, right?
Yes.
And I see that this certain also systemic approach in the holistic organizations context, right? That you created also from Circular Workplace now to the ICR. So I just wondering like how it relates to each other, or like how they integrate, and how both are, is it complementary, or is it like you can use modular for both? Maybe you can like share a bit.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. That's right. So what I did, so the circular workplace, and of course people will find, when you just even go onto my featured section on LinkedIn, you'll see that there is a lot of intel around the actual 4 parts. So let's just talk a little bit about it at high level. So the Innovation Capability Review, the ICR, is one of the first pieces of work that we do early. So if you look at the circular workplace as a 4-part continuing closed loop of delivery, that part 1, a lot of things happen. And this part is very, very important in terms of formulating where the resources are going to go, where the energy is going to go. So if I take you through, so people can actually do this, and in 2026 it's exciting because we are going to start offering it as its own standalone experience and business development program for organisations that either are not in a position or don't feel they need to do the complete circular workplace at this stage. They will be able to do it as a standalone experience. So this is critical, Albert, because it allows in terms of the focus of the circular workplace, in terms of the capability and the capacity focus and where we develop, comes out of what is shown in that innovation capability review. Yeah. So I'm going to take you, so we can't go to anything further in that circular workplace until we've done this, because it allows us to see against the projects and the outcomes and the impacts. This is what we want to create. This is the high level, innovation outcome. But this is what we've got to consider, because these are the roadblocks or the opportunities and exactly what we need to be doing in detail to overcome it. So that's why it can stand alone on its own. So if I just take you through the sort of the 7 key parts of this ICR to talk about, that we do very early, either on its own or in that first part. Yeah. So I'll just go through them. So I think what happens, the first part's important, right? Because a lot of the time when we're jumping into projects, we fail to really do the proper mapping. Yeah. So what we are doing as part 1 of this ICR is that we are mapping the innovation objectives and outcomes against a couple of key levels. The first one is we're mapping it against the roles of the team that's involved in delivering. Yeah. Okay. So a lot of the time, you think about it, right? We're not talking about roles and individuals and how they map back to the project. Yeah. So we start to get disconnect. We start to get the disconnect between them. So what we're doing, obviously, and again, we're facilitating this with leaders and teams so they understand it, because they need to be able to do this ongoing. We're not coming in as consultants, right? We're coming in as more facilitators, mentors, coaches. Yeah, there'll be a consultancy element, but they're learning this at a deeper level to be able to drive it and change it and mold it as it needs to suit them. Yeah. Well, after we've left the building, so to speak. So we're mapping project objectives and goals against project outcomes, the roles that are going to be against the people that are on the project. Yeah. And also too, something you and I have talked about, the broader strategic objectives of the organization. Yeah. So right away, we've made the connections and connected the dots across those. And that's really important. Yeah. The second part, and stop me whenever you want and jump in because you're asking the questions.
Sure.
When
I'm
we
just like
understand
fascinated. I'm just like quite fascinated about this.
No, you're okay.
So I just like listening there.
I'm going in without giving all the IP goodies, but enough so people start to get it and see the value in it. Once we've understood where we're mapping those different elements against those innovation outcomes and impacts attached to the project, we are then holistically looking at the gaps and the threats and risks that exist against delivering on that. Yeah. So we understand. Yeah. So we've started to see it starts to be like a layer cake. Yeah. I talk about layer cakes a lot. You know, I look at things in layers, building on top. Yeah. A bit like we call it scaffolding.
You're talking my language, a cake, right?
Talking about scaffolding learning. Yeah. So we're really looking at not just holistically, but from a capability and a capacity perspective. Now, you and I have done videos on it. We've written articles on it. I think it's time to dust it off and bring it, back again. And so what we're looking at, where we can start to identify then the gaps and the threats and the risk from a capability and capacity perspective, again, holistically, not just looking at the normal expected factors, then we can assess the ability to deliver on that. Yeah. And when we come from that and we start to look at, okay, what's the capability, the capacity, what are the skill sets we need to truly be able to be innovative and deliver on this specific outcome and impact, not just the outcome, that's when we start to scope up what is needed, And again, sometimes it will be, obviously, there's skill sets that we're missing. And let's get real, right? Our skill sets are changing all the time. I'm now using, which will come out next year, and I look forward to people engaging with it. You know that I'm creating an app at the moment, right? I'm using AI, my IP, but I'm using it to create a really exciting resource for people. I'm using it, to create videos and infographics, and I'm playing and thinking about how do I use it to add value, not just to make stupid memes of cats doing videos or whatever, right? But real things, So there will always be evolving gaps, right? Because the world is moving, right? So whatever served us even 3 months ago, I'm using new skills that I've now got in the last 2 weeks. Particularly around AI, and you'll start to see the fruits of my labor, right? But I'm not going, oh, well, job done. I'm like, no. If I want to remain relevant and grow the business, then I need to be getting hands-on, right? Which leads me, this is a very real example, right? That then leads me to then making space for experimentation and play.
That's where the secure workplace comes in.
You see where I'm going, right? Which is correct, right? So we do correct. That's when part 2 of that circular workplace methodology kicks in. Because we've created a plan. We understand exactly where the gaps and the threats and the risk are. We know exactly the actions that we're going to have to take, right? How we're going to measure it, assess it. I'll come to that in a minute. And then we must, that's right. So that's when you start to see, we must create the space for play and experimentation.
Okay.
And so once we've been, right, because that's, for me, I've had to spend time. I don't go and just create this exciting new resource for my learners. I have to dedicate time, right, to learning the software. And it's bugs, because there's bugs in it, right? I've got great hair for those bugs, but it's looking good. It's awesome. It's exciting. But I have to play with it. I have to know how it works, right? So that is a really important part that is missing a lot from organizations.
I can see that. Now you mentioned exciting part, right? But you also mentioned the exciting words in the current trends, which is AI.
Yeah.
So I have to go there. Right? So
and measuring and assessing too. Let me just put that in if I can. Measuring and assessing, So just before we move on to your AI, right, after the experiment, we just don't go, well, I'll just sit tight on this, right? Remember, we're moving from the individual's experimentation and intel and deliberately creating those touch points between teams, leaders, peers, to actually debrief on the lessons learned, the mistakes made, the near misses, the value, and then again, then feeding that and saying, well, then knowing what we know through that,
Yeah.
what now then needs to happen for us to not just capture the knowledge, and this is not just about capturing knowledge. This is about then how do we actually create new measurable outcomes and impact, both from a people perspective, but a financial one. And so that's part 4, right? So again,
Yes.
we're going to talk AI. I know we need to go there, but you can see that it is that we talk continuous learning, but we don't have a way to do it. I am giving you a way that we can do this and have done it. That is through just-in-time learning in part, but closed loop, so we don't have those learning leaks. Nothing falls out. But the innovation capability review is the compass by which we set sail to do that work.
Awesome. Yeah, because I saw when you explain a bit the high level about the process and how to use these agents for the ICR and how it connects to the circular workplace, I see that when the leaders and the functions and the stakeholders of projects are doing this or implementing this, I see they are building their own skills, right?
100%.
So these two part, right? They are building their own capabilities also while doing this, using your resources and your frameworks, and also gaining new skills, right? In experimenting, like continuously improving everything else. But I just wonder, like again, touching about the AI part, right? There are two ways, right? Either you build like out of the box solutions about the AI, but before going there, you need also to build your capabilities in handling this AI, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. So I reckon there are some elements in your resources in the ICR or scope of place that actually can help organizations in building their capabilities in handling the AI trends now.
And look,
can you share that?
And I would love to, like I said, that maybe is another conversation in your intel.
Yeah, it's going to be like, I think that.
No. We'll go there. Come back again, people. Come back and join us. But we'll be back. We'll be back. But I agree with you. And I think, this is because AI is still early and still formative, that we are learning as we go, right? And I think that's the beauty of it. And I'll live by what I encourage others to do. I'm here to experiment and to do that in a way that is responsible. But that allows us, you only get good by doing it, right? And so we have to be able to say, well, then how do we minimize the fallout from it? And that's the beauty of this, right? It's saying we can't not innovate, because then we don't create, we go backwards, right? We become obsolete. But how do we do this in a way that minimizes the negativity and the fallout from it? And that is the beauty of this. And I think you're right. I think that's when I see this. I do also see that it does allow us to be relevant in that space. And for me, I think you make a great point that, we're not just implementing AI. We have to be able to manage it. We have to train it. We have to oversee it. We have to supervise it, right? And I think we need something like this that, again, takes the fear out of it, right? That allows us to actually have these conversations because people are avoiding it, right? And so I've just had my own brainwave. Thanks for that, Albert, as I'm talking to you. But the people are not where do they go to have this? Where do they go? So they either don't use AI, right? Because we know that there's some stats that I shared the other week around, and maybe I need to put that up and tie this into this, but I think I can't remember what it was, but nearly 50% of people are saying, it was a Gallup survey, 51% said they don't believe AI can help them in their role. Now, something's going on there, right? Lots of things are going on, right? And I put a post up not long ago, and I might repost it again because it's relevant to this discussion and the leaders on this call, right? But that tells us that people are either going rogue, they're either doing their own thing, which they are, right? We know that people are doing their own thing and then saying, they're not using it, or they'll just use it anyway and say, well, whatever the consequence will be, or they're not using it. And therefore they're missing out. The organisation's missing out, because they've never had this place. And like you said, a methodology, a process, the relationships, the environment to actually have that discussion. So this actually is going up, and I've talked with lots of people. This ability And talent is going to be even more important.
Nice. Okay, so I like the way that you mentioned about taking the fear out of it, right?
Yeah.
Because I think that's one of the big uh challenges, or not challenges, actually. That's one of the big concerns also in managing change, especially from my change management perspective. But saying that also, now this is where I need to go back like earlier in our discussion, our recording, that I promise you or promise our audience that we're going to touch about the business impact part, right, of this. So one of my experience is like taking out the fear of something new, right? If you want to do something, another change initiative or something new, that you need to know what are the impacts, right?
Yeah.
What are the tangible impacts? What are the benefits that you gain by going or venturing into this something new, right? So, what do you say that the tangible and durable benefits or impacts by doing this ITR related to the circle workplace also for organizations, like in maybe like in the day-to-day project, or even for certain roles? Maybe you can share a bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So look, I think, let me give you 4 key general ones and themes that we've seen that have come out of this, because some are going to be very particular to the project, right? So if we just take Coca-Cola Euro partners, let's go back to that. So they did meet all of their financial commercial deliverables that they needed to with a workforce that obviously knew it wasn't going to be employed at the end. And so that's a pretty big achievement, right? Like to make sure that you could achieve those financial outcomes. But with Coca-Cola, and then I'll give you some more general outcomes and impacts. Out of the 11 leaders that took part in that and used that ICR as their guide, 10 were employed by the time the factory closed, right? 10 out of 11. Yeah, so that's huge, right? And 1 retired. So it's huge, right? You don't, look, we've had Mitsubishi, we've had General Motors Holden close in that state, use traditional career approaches, and it did not work. So I'm not talking out of school there. There's reports and data around that I can share. Did not work. So we had 11 out of 10 leaders, 1 retired with a plan. So literally 100% of those guys were where they needed to be. From the production team, I'll just give you some stats around this. We had 3, so by the time the project ended, 3 still had to be employed in the business because of their specialist roles. So they were still working at the time that I'd finished up on the project. 21 found new employment, 2 were self-employed, 5 exited with a clear plan of action. And how many? I think I had 2 left mid-program that just weren't up for the opportunity. So again, very, very strong outcome. I think also too, when we just look beyond some of those stats, we had healthy, engaged, confident people. The beauty about this too, I just want to share this before I move on to the general outcomes and impacts that we've seen. I've kept in touch with a lot of people from that project. And so I know that was a couple of years ago, that some of them have obviously moved on to other roles that they found even after Coke, right? So there's a self-sufficiency in this work that really matters and is a real differentiator. So that leads me into a couple of different outcomes that we've seen through this work. So the first one I want to share with you is one of the major outcomes that we've seen through this is that there is no longer an avoidance of response. So because teams, and think about this, Albert, and I want everyone who's on the call to think about it, think how much pain, loss, missed opportunity happens because we're not talking and having constructive, respectful conversation around gaps and threats and risk. Just think about it, right? We don't think about the lost opportunity around that. So what we start to see is that people are no longer avoiding it, so therefore we're able to create opportunity from it, right? You touched on it before, the nature of how the innovation capability review is facilitated means that there is actually a de-risking of talent. So we don't have just a couple of people hold this, yeah?
Yeah.
Because it's a collaborative leader and team project role-based work, everyone is learning and building that capability and talent at the same time. So there's no lag around that. That's huge. Right.
Awesome.
You and I have, I know you've got your issue around leadership development, so do I, right? It's like, no, but I'm going to call it, right?
You have to say that.
It creates a funnel. It's a funnel. Think about it. And at the top of the funnel is all the leadership development, and nothing's getting through to anyone else. And then we wonder why. We wonder why people leave. We wonder why we have no succession planning. We wonder, why we've got no depth of talent and diversity, because we're so focused on leadership development. We need to start being smart and fair and equitable, and start spreading this. And that is why when we start to spread that talent, that intel, that wisdom, we de-risk brain drain. Obviously, we then have the ability of commercial impact. People can take this and then create new funnels of opportunity that didn't exist otherwise, because they didn't know how to, and nor did they have the means to do that. Through innovation, we create new financial opportunity. And then empowering teams. Let me just add this one, and I think this is a massive one, and I think this is what key decision makers and CEOs are wanting. We see genuine empowerment, right? Because people are owning the talent. So they are deciding how it's going to be used again and again, not me. As I say, it is about the individual, the leader, and the teams deciding. I'm here to facilitate it. I'm here to give what will work, but the people use it based on what is right for their specific circumstances, rather than this nice tight box of, frameworks that never moves, and that just doesn't work. Never did. So now we have teams that think ingeniously, that own the outcomes and the solutions to it.
Awesome.
And so for me, they're the 4 key outcomes and impacts that I've seen over the years of having this part of the business and people development.
Okay. So I really like that when you tie this, not only the organizational impact. I can see one directly that for sure about, from HR perspective, it's like the employer branding, right?
Yes.
After you're doing all this efficiency initiative, everything else, but the people are you still having like a good relationship. So the benefit, the tangible benefit, is not only from the organization sides, but it's also in the form of the relationships with each of the people and individuals that you can, the living, breathing human, right? That you are connecting with, having this, like you said, the conversations around the projects, right? And then also the risking, the brain drain, even after the people are leaving the organizations, they are still maintaining that, okay, so I'm living in a good note. This is actually a good organizations, right? So I think that's will impact, in the long run, right?
100%. It's a legacy. It's the legacy.
It's a legacy.
Right?
I like
a
that.
legacy.
It's a legacy.
And I think that's legacy in AI. I was seeing a great video the other day about that, and I'll have to share the link as well, around legacy, around not being so narrow-minded and short-sighted in why you're making decisions. And it was a great video, and I will share it. I'll put the link in the comments when we post this for our community to see that. And I think you make a great point, and of course I can't cover everything here, but I definitely think in brand, I'll come back to every business I've worked on, and I'll certainly come back to Coca-Cola here. They cared about their brand, right?
Yes,
because too, you've got to understand, a lot of projects externally, around in the space did not work. They didn't want to be another one. They didn't want the media to be onto them saying, oh, well, Coca-Cola spent X amount and it didn't work, and now the employees are unhappy and the unions are involved. And that's that's how it could have gone. That's the reality. So you're right. They genuinely cared about their people having the best opportunity to create and own that future. They cared about the commercial outcomes, and they cared about their brand.
Awesome.
Every business, does that make sense? Every business, we've got like a
Yeah, yeah,
triangle,
yeah,
haven't
yeah,
we?
for
Right?
sure,
You've
for
given me so
sure.
many great ideas, Albert. You've got to keep
Yeah.
asking questions. No, but I know we're nearly at time here.
Yeah, yeah.
But I just, yeah, and I think, like I said, I've drawn lots of notes here as I talk to people because I'm, you know me, I go and create off of that and give more goodness back to our people.
Yeah, so awesome. I mean, I also get a lot of insights from your again your new approach, and it's a, if I can say, your unique approach and
Mm,
resources, right? But in
mm,
a good way, because I see a lot of different how you say, these tight boxes being open, being
mm.
stripped away, and then you can see it in holistically, right?
Yes.
And if you also like if the audience here also knew me a bit, that I like to see things from different perspective, and I
Mm,
think your approach and your ICR and to co-workplace provided that, right?
thank you.
Looking at
Yeah.
the new perspective, and then not only for leaders, but the whole initiation, the whole rules affected, right? Affected by this. Yeah, so thank you for that, Ali. I think it's something for me to think about until the end of year. It's long.
We're nearly there. We're
We're
nearly
nearly
there.
there,
We've got
right? We're nearly
got
there.
big 2026, yeah? And we
Yeah,
need
and
to
maybe I can like throw you something also that we can
please,
create new things also, right?
please.
Together.
Yes, can you do that? Like I said, it's
Yeah,
I always enjoy your intel and you'll always, as I said, push my own thinking and again,
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
I am always evolving and leaving behind what no longer serves and creating more space for light that does. And I know this won't be the last time we're going to talk about it. And as I said, for me today, yeah, you've really also given me, and I'm sure the community, lots to reflect on. And so thank you
thank you.
for
Welcome,
joining me.
welcome.
And we're going to have to do some more of these because the
Sure, sure, sure.
questions and the angles
For
and that
sure.
are always enjoyable. So, Albert, thank you for
Yeah,
joining me. Everyone
you're
that's
welcome.
joined in and opened their brain up to a different but proven way of thinking,
Yeah,
thank you for being here and come back and join us because we're going to be doing more deeper dives and different sessions around this that you're going to be able to bring your team to next year as well. So we are
yeah,
going to, you know, do like I said, different opportunities and experiences to be involved in and start to really build that capability and capacity. So come back and be part of that and stay tuned and like go well into the rest of your day wherever you are and keep
mm,
connected. And of course, too, if people want more original content inspired by the real world and written by humans, Albert, where can they
yeah.
find you?
You can find me in LinkedIn under the name of Albert Octovianus, and you can search by keywords Albert Octo Strada.
That's
I'm
it.
there.
That's
Yeah,
it. And you'll find me, Ali Arena Kickstart. That's where you'll find me. Come and join us. Come and connect in and follow what we're doing and be part of the conversation. We would love to have you. Hey, thank
yeah.
you, everyone. Until we meet next
Take care,
time,
man.
go well.
See ya. Go well.
Bye. Bye.